Okay, my full name is Alfonso Edward Santana. My mum's maiden name being Victory, which doesn't get included. Born 1954, Borough of Kensington, Hammersmith Hospital, fourth in line. There were 5 kids. There were 8 children as far as I know. 3 died pretty young. My father, Spanish, came here from the Spanish Civil War, joined the British Army, Pioneer Corps, Spanish Legion. My mum from Gibraltar, met him here. She was evacuated in 1940 along with the other 30,000 Gibraltarians, and initially was housed here in luxury blocks in Duchess of Bedford House, Holland Park, moved to Lancaster Gate where she met my father. My mum creating things with dust and cardboard, out of nowhere really, bringing us forward. But in the house, violent, nasty household really. Love from my mum, but just the tyranny of my old man. And in that kind of way, I had an older brother who I think kind of, perhaps because he was the oldest and had to deal with things first with nobody to support him, grew up a bit differently from me. I like to describe him as Sonny in The Godfather, kind of, we'll get the guns, we'll shoot them all. Whatever's in his wake is in his way. I'm not putting him down on it, he's grown up very differently. So around about 13, 14, when we moved to a slightly different part of Kensington, just a different estate, which comes close to where what we just saw earlier, Power Square, and locations where there was quite a lot of community activism happening. And then this guy, Andy Porter, along with many other people, show up, and community worker. And I can't remember exactly how it happened, where he found us or where we found him, but it would have been part of getting the kids somewhere safe to play and meet and be and see what good things you can impart to them that might take them out of the rat hole. Somewhere in there at 12 and 13, 14, I've already, I find myself on a little tiny bit of a playground, not the one Power Square, but Colville, along with other kids, and Andy's there, and we start, the group starts to become like a group, really. This listening to people in the flesh and interacting with them, people who are talking about, I guess, socialism, sharing, communityism, communism, anarchy, Marxism and all of that. To start with, as you could guess, 90% going over the head. But I'm interested. It's touching me in my core somewhere. At home, what I'm kind of like getting is the dictator rules, and the crown gets taken off the dictator by the next upcoming dictator, and you've got to be macho, and you've got to be male, and punish people when they're out of order, and all that kind of stuff that never, even when I was really young, never really sat very well with me. So anyway, in this environment with Andy, there's actually stuff that's real, stuff that's happening. He is there. He's not talking about making a living by doing it or a career. People are opening their doors. People are talking about helping other people get housed, get homes, have their kids brought up, arrange for clubs, creches, the whole gamut and spectrum of stuff, all the social needs. And for a while in that environment. And I'm by no means a stunted kid, intellectually or educationally. So I get on quite well with all of that. I've played chess with Andy, and to his surprise, I'm kind of like beating him and stuff. I used to play chess at school. So I'm really good with the maths and the figures. My writing is really neat and stuff. So to all intents and purposes, those appearances sort of like, well, yeah, I'm not going to be washing dishes, or not that everybody who washes dishes is somehow kind of like lacking in brains, of course not. But that's not how I perceive myself. But sort of like in the 15 and 16, up until about 15 or 16, I think we're a group with Andy. We produced our own magazine called Crunch, which we'd love to find, where Diab and others do some drawings. The girls get photographed in the latest fashions. I write an article about the teenager being in bed and the parents kind of like, get up, find yourself something useful to do. For a little while, I work on Powers Square as a youth, kind of giving me £5 a week or something for being there and helping out and doing all that kind of stuff. I think you can't really live on £5, but I'm lost. I'm floating. I don't have. Nobody's given me anywhere to go. As in Spanish, no pasamano, no handrail. I'm going. I'm drifting all over the place. I finish up in somewhere in there. Don't quite how we grow. We grow up a little bit. Some boys get the girlfriends and the group starts kind of fragmenting and stuff. I go off and start getting work because I've been told I'm good with the figures and the pen and the paper. I'd get a job working for Wolves, the ice cream people down at Hammersmith doing accounts and stuff. But I'm sitting 3-4 weeks or something. I'm in an office pressing buttons, adding figures, taking figures away, square balancing. I go, please, in an office where people don't actually interact very much unless you've been there ages. So this is not for me. I want to be outdoors. But I finish up going from that to getting a job up in Hanger Lane, Tudor Estate, working in a works office where they're printing. And it's my job printing labels, letterheads and all that. And my responsibility is to work out design-wise, colours, the runs on the printing machine, big heavy-duty printer, big sheets of paper, smaller printer, smaller sheets of paper, variation of labels, the best format, the best way of producing all the stuff, least people's hours on the machines, least runs, or etc. I finished up going to work for British Relay, cable television. In those days, cable, not like now. And in those days, we used to put up all these big black cables on across people's houses. The round boxes called echo boxes, the square boxes called double deckers and stuff. And you used to take out little PCBs, little tiny boards. So when people were disconnected because they'd moved or ceased wanting the service or something, it was really easy. Ladders go up and you climb up and you just pull them out and the box stays empty, nobody gets telly in there. And likewise, if somebody wants reconnecting, stick them in. So that was really good. A couple of years of that, working around White City, Shepherd's Bush, Kilburn. That was my area of working. Going off with the guys at lunch breaks to cafes here, there, working with Asher Malik, Brian Lilly, even some of these, a really neat, funny bunch of guys, all very different, but there you go. I started hanging around with Andy and doing the video, getting him right very, very early on, which was really neat. Electronics, no problem, nowhere. I guess if I was younger now, I'd take to this like lightning. I understand all that. The inputs, the outputs, this converts that, the transformers to this. Yeah, leads in, audio out. It's really, that's all it's about, really, and not getting flustered and finding it all mystifying when you just take your time like you take that panel down. Oh, look, there's the jack plug receiver there. It's all very clever if you know how to pull these things around. So I got in there and straight away, I really liked it. It was, I can't really think about it going, whoa, not quite right, but I'm making films, or I'm going to be making films, or I'm doing editing, I'm doing camera work. And a lot of it is not really hard at all. Those machines were a lot less sophisticated in those days, as witnessed by the stuff that we did. In my time, the video was open spools, reel to reel. And you had to kind of go by the counter. And so there's always an element of shift, the tracking going up and down, and a stopwatch. So you had to kind of fine guess as well as you could the where things went. You know, really hard, because as you start the machine, it go and then it's got its speed, but there's that which can change everything really. That starting up and slowing down. I can't remember what the first things were that we did, although I know one of the big things that we edited were the Power Square tape, which was done before the actual stuff was shot before I was there. So about a square that I knew a lot about, and all those people, I came to know them because we were playing around and living around there. My skills came to bear. I'm not scared of the maths. I can work out 1 minute 50. You've got a 10-second segment of something, and you want to slip it in there, and you want to come out of that because you've got the next piece in there. So I could put that there, and I could put the first bit in A and put the next bit in C, and I could plug it with the B and do it quite successfully. No problem. If I messed up, I had enough kind of confidence and stuff to kind of redo it, no problem, and work and take chances like that. I was very comfortable with the machinery. I was also very comfortable with being on the camera. I soon, because I did stuff, and it wasn't very long before you learn, in our days, don't aim the camera at bright sources of light, because it burns the tube pretty much like a light bulb will on the retina. Don't move at any great speed, because when you see it on the telly on that limited field that you have on the screen, a movement that you do in your own space out here, it's just like a speeding car on the screen. You don't see anything. No, not too much movement. Be steady. So I found my own way of having. I used my body as the tripod. I used to lift the viewfinder up. Camera was a pretty solid piece of work, a big box. I used to lift the viewfinder up and press it against my forehead so that I could look into the viewfinder at the same time as still be around and see what else needed or could be caught. That whole thing of the video in those days, we were part of a bigger organisation. We were affiliated to this Community Action Centre, which was like an umbrella organisation, and we were working in a short life house given to that organisation. We had a room, a little room at the top of the house to start with, and then we moved downstairs and we turned it into a slightly more sophisticated studio space. But we were definitely linked and tied to a printing press that was there, a photographic workshop, dark room upstairs. There would have been things like Claimants Union in there, the CAC having its own organisational meetings and stuff, administration. It went on to acquire links with the Carnival, Notting Hill Carnival committees and stuff. So lots of traffic, and sometimes a super lot of traffic, an abundance of traffic and people coming. And for me, it was a bit like, I'm going to have to be really careful to not kind of be un-PC in a way, but you just get everybody and their mother with their political opinions and their group interests. And sometimes it was the total opposite of harmony and synchronicity. It was, you could fight from the front of the door all the way into the furthest recesses of the building, with women's interest, with Marxism, with Leninist interest, with Trotskyist interest, with this and that, and apolitical interest, and we're just mothers trying to find ourselves a room where we can get together and mind our kids together and organise being able to go off to work. Super. So for me, I've always referred to that period from 1975 to 1980 when I left. It's like the equivalent of, I'm convinced, like the equivalent of being in university. Real growing, real developing, really intense, really brilliant. So I do things like, I go with Ken to Ireland, to Wexford, where the British state was going to be building a nuclear plant, and I go with Ken. Totally out of my depth. We get invited over to Video and Anti-Nuclear Festival. Brilliant festival, brilliant. But in Fishguard, we get stopped by Special Branch. My friend Ken had bought some postcards advertising, commemorating the Easter uprising in Ireland. Brilliant festival. Brilliant. It was called Politics with Fun, and there was just like so much stuff in it, and so good was it that I confused it with one time when I was doing a video up at City University. It was a Asian festival, Asian as in the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, so it would have been all the Malaysia, Indonesia and stuff, real theatre, real political stuff, companies poisoning the waters, the thalidomide, the mercury, all of that. Oh, brilliant. So my first real big gig, really, me on my own doing this, setting up the cameras and the sound and all of that, and trying to organise it, one bloody camera, that you could capture this thing on stage, this big moving thing on stage. Chinese acrobats with the swords and the cutting, like the Shaolin and all of that, doing all their dances. Just a whole lot. Fantastic. I've had a second session where I've looked after my mum for 20 years. My old man, really horrible man, beat my mum up every day of the life and all of that terrible stuff. He died back in 1979 at the age of 72. And quite happy to say and put it out there, good riddance to rubbish, really, good riddance to bad. In the community, we have an expression in Spanish, faro de la calle, oscuridad de la casa. Beacon in the street, light of the light of the street, light of society. Demon indoors, darkness. And that's what it was like. I get stopped in the street, how's your dad? From people he helped. And I sort of say, good riddance, he's dead. What? Don't be so disrespectful, blah, blah, blah. I kind of have to tell them, indoors, walk through the door, 2 seconds. My mum's on the floor, big eye, big lip, kick, punch, this. Get up, make me a cup of tea or whatever. All that, for almost no reason at all. We got the clouts, but she was the buffer, 99, little woman, no money, no nothing, in rags. So when my old man died, I kind of moved home. And I had 20 years of looking after my mum. And the nice thing for me was my contribution, my role in the video was one of a number of people. My stuff was kind of like subsumed in there. It wasn't necessarily key to holding. The slots and the pigeonholes were already there, and it wasn't my mind that created the structure for me to fill various components, parts, spaces. So I guess the brains, if you want, the brains, Andy and Ken and others. It wasn't me, I was just toiling away. But with my mum, I was responsible. I had to organise all the care, interact with the consultants, work out her care plans, go this, work out carers, work out wages, how I organise paying people, how I go out and get the money. And because I'm out getting the money, I have to have somebody looking after her while I'm out getting the money to pay them, our survival, all of that. And I have to learn to speak Spanish properly because my mum spoke Spanish. We didn't. I'm really pleased. I went off to college, got my Spanish A level to interact with my mum. I sat there, I learned, I was doing stuff as like an art labourer, going off to these people who got money for doing installations and projects and stuff, who could have me sitting on the floors in their nice big houses out in Gerrards Cross or Streatham or Croydon or Barnes or something like that, with me working all weekend, making geometric shapes, preparing canvases or making wooden kind of structures, so installations and stuff, and having the confidence to kind of go, well, in for a penny, in for a pound. So going out and earning decent money enough that I could pay decent money for people looking after my mum and keep my mum's home going and still have a little bit left over for my daughter and so kind of like, so feeling really accomplished. That very quietly, out of the loop, out right away from everybody that I'd interacted with. And now I'm involved in all these history projects. I do mosaics, I get commissioned. I don't know where that came from. I get commissioned to do a Spanish Civil War mosaic in Portobello, the Kelso Cochrane, the guy who got murdered and the racist riots. I'm doing a commercial one at the moment, which is, it's never the same.